Dr. Collins, with all the depressing news we hear about COVID-19 for the last several months, Americans are hungry for sports. So will there be enough COVID-19 tests so we can watch some football this fall or some basketball this winter? I noticed the National Hockey League said it was going to test every player every day. The President of Brown University told our committee that she wanted to test every student before they come back. Admiral Giroir has said that the country will have 40 to 50,000 test capacity by September. That will probably be enough to have widespread testing to go back to school and back to work. But will it be enough for sports teams to take the field? Probably the answer lies with your RADx effort to make a new way of creating quick, reliable diagnostic tests that can be administered frequently, maybe even every day. So we'll be able to watch some football and some basketball this year, or do we have to wait until next year?
Well, I'm probably the least qualified sports fan, but I do appreciate that this is important to a lot of people. And we want to see Americans have a chance to have some normal experiences of enjoying life. I do believe this should be possible. What RADx is doing, and appreciate the strong support from this Congress to make this possible, is to speedily put together these kinds of point-of-care tests that can be done on-site, can give you a result within an hour, and can tell you immediately whether that person is actually infected with the SARS-CoV-2 virus, in which case they can be immediately quarantined. And I think the general sense is, for athletic teams, you really need to know that. Otherwise, you're going to have an outbreak that will wipe out the entire team.
But your goal is to have these tests available this fall,
yes.
September? That's your goal.
That is the goal. The path we are on right now, and again, this is a white-knuckle goal because it's never been done at anything like this kind of timetable before, would be to have an additional 1 million tests per day available for the kind of point-of-care, on-the-spot testing that's very much needed for going back to school and going back to sports events.
And these would mostly not be the tests that have to be shipped off to a lab and then come back.
That is our goal. Or if they're going to be shipped to the lab needs to be very nearby. We are aware that there are places where there are labs that have instruments that could be brought to bear on this that are widely distributed already but haven't been adapted to this purpose. That would be sort of a next best thing, is to have them at least in your own local arena. The best, of course, is to have your gadget right there at the front desk when somebody shows up for practice and find out, is this person somebody who's safe to send to the field?
Okay, that's this fall. Now let's go to treatments and medicine. I think Senator Kennedy may be here. He said in his inimitable way that he thinks what people are really afraid of with this virus is not just getting it, but that they might die. And they might die or have a very severe illness because there's no medicine for it, except you mentioned 2 that have been approved by the FDA. So as we go back to school, for example, with 75,000 students going back to elementary and secondary school, we're happy that COVID-19 doesn't seem to affect children very much, or even college students very much. But there is the danger that they might infect their teachers or their older administrators, or they go home to their parents or their grandparents and might infect them. Exactly. So what can you say to the teachers and the administrators and the parents and the grandparents about medicines that this fall will help them not die and not have a severe an illness? What will be available this fall when the kids go back to school?
Well, there are intense efforts to expand that repertory from remdesivir and dexamethasone, which are already approved, as you mentioned, to other kinds of ways to do effective treatment. A big promise here is the use of what you might call passive immunization, where you basically provide to somebody who's ill antibodies derived from somebody who has survived already. And this is the idea behind convalescent plasma, which is being rigorously studied and right now analyzed by the FDA to see what the results have been. But even more than that, one could develop what are called monoclonal antibodies.
As this is so-called antibody cocktail of the kind that was developed and approved by the FDA with Ebola?
Exactly, and it worked for Ebola. It worked really well. And the idea is you have these antibodies taken from somebody who has survived the disease, and you turn that into a product. And those trials are going to get started this month.